Hey, what's going on Facebook? Hope you're doing awesome. Happy Friday, TGIF, last Friday of 2019. Kind of crazy to think that we have just 4 days left. Got the rest of today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, really 3.5 days left. That is kind of crazy to think. But anyway, I wanted to ask you a question about how you did for 2019. Because this may be a time of year, I don't know for you, but I like to reflect on there's a little bit of downtime to reflect on the things that happened, that didn't happen, maybe some of the plans that I wanted to achieve, the goals that I had set, the vision I had for 2019, and to just go through and evaluate. And I don't know if you've ever been audited before, but what happens during an audit, as you know, even if you haven't, you understand what that looks like when you're doing your taxes. That you think of, you have to kind of itemize everything and go through line by line by line of how you did, and to kind of justify where you're at with your finances. And it's no different really, and that's my actual challenge for you. This would be a really good challenge to do. I wouldn't wait until the new year, because then you're already kind of putting 2019 behind you. But if you have a spare maybe hour or two, or even just thinking about it now, keeping it top of mind, is to give yourself a grade yourself for 2019. And I want to just preface this, is when you grade yourself, I'm not talking sliding scale. I'm not talking about what compared to everybody else and what they're doing. I want you to grade your year for you for 2019, not anybody else. Oh, well, compared to this person, I'm like an A plus. Compared to that person, maybe I'm just a C or a B minus. So how do you go about and evaluate? Well, you take a look. You can do it just as if you think of 365 days in the year, and you can maybe split that up into quarters, so every 3 months, and give yourself a grade. You can even break it down more and say, all right, well, weekly, if I were to really break it down, and I'm not that good at numbers, so I would look at month to month, and I'll grade myself, and I'll kind of go first because I've already thought about it and did a little of a self-evaluation. And I'm at about an 8, 8.5. And I tend to each year come up around that 8, 8.5, as far as like maybe a BB plus, because I know there's always room for improvement. And I can't say that I've ever met anybody that's felt they're a 10 out of 10 year after year. Perfect. There's always room for improvement. But one of the things you can kind of find yourself doing to make it easier to not have set any good expectations or higher expectations, if you just start to compare yourself with others. Because the reality is two things. The reality is there's always going to be somebody that's in better shape and more fit and look on paper better, healthier, eating more salads, exercising more. There's always going to be somebody out there that's in better shape than you. But also, number two, there's also going to be somebody that's going to probably be worse off, that maybe be heavier than you, far more out of shape, require more medications, be completely out of breath a lot earlier than you. Maybe hasn't stepped in a foot in 3 years in a gym, and you haven't stepped foot in your gym for a year. So there's always, again, with that, there's always somebody that's going to be at a higher level as far as your fitness and level of health, and there's always going to be somebody at lower. And then you got to evaluate your age and kind of categorize where you're at, and then play with all those other things. But point is if you haven't thought about it, maybe before making all of these high expectations, setting up all these resolutions for New Year's, to say, hey, this is going to be my year. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to be kinder to people. I'm going to be less stressed out. I'm going to booze less. I'm going to, all those things, right? All the top 5 or 10 things. And before even doing that, it may help to actually do yourself a little bit of an evaluation. Give yourself an audit your health for the past 12 months. And if you realize, well, gosh, I only worked out about this much. Okay, well, I'm going to put that down out of the amount of times you wanted to. Maybe your weight loss goal was 40 pounds for 2019, and maybe you put on 10 pounds. Well, I'm sure you can give yourself the grade based on that. And again, it's you with you. It's worrying about you. I say worrying about is looking to improve, auditing you. Not auditing what everybody else is doing, not auditing what maybe you did in the past, but just looking at you for 2019. And hopefully you'll see that there's room for improvement, because there's always room for improvement. I have clients that come into my coaching program that say like their initial goal, their initial vision is to lose the 40 pounds. So we set up that vision, we cast it, we set the goals, put the structure in place, give them the accountability, and then they succeed. But then we take a look at the next level, kind of like these shingles, like, okay, here's the first level, you lose the weight, and then we can go to that next level, and that might be to get more defined, get more tone. It might be fitting in a different size pants or dress size. It may be getting ready to put on a bikini for the very first time in maybe the past 10 years. It could be going on that trip, that active trip that you weren't able to go on because you're just too out of shape and too overweight to do it, or to even book the trip. Maybe it's enjoying some healthy experiences with your family, going for a bike ride for the very first time. Those could be all things that you look to achieve and maybe reevaluate and check in on year to year. So what I would suggest, if you haven't done it right now, is to give yourself an audit. Go ahead and give yourself a health audit, and to not forget that it's between you and you. 2019, what did that look like? If you wanted to change your health, if you wanted to change your lifestyle to the point where you knew you need to start taking better care of yourself and you didn't, and maybe you need to fail yourself, maybe it's time that you give yourself a poor grade. And instead of maybe, the problem is when we start looking at grading ourselves, or we start looking at more, I should say, the goals and all these aspirations for 2020, is we tend to forget maybe where we were. We have all these things set up. You're trying to go from maybe a D or an F all the way to an A, and you're trying to get it done in a month or maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And the reality is, if you've let yourself go for the last year, 2, 5, 10 years, it's going to take some time at least to do it right. And if you've done it the wrong way, chances are, like most people who struggle with the health, they go about it and they try all the easy ways first, right? It's just human nature. I would too. Try things that are going to be super easy to do. We want to have the path of least resistance. And unfortunately, a lot of times those paths are quick fixes, those like quick, things that, oh yeah, I can lose 10 pounds. I can do the keto. I can do the paleo. I can do all these fast things and get that weight off. And realize that, okay, well, I got the weight off now, what's next? And unfortunately, they only set you up to lose that weight. They don't set you up for success long term. And that's where you can start putting in that audit, that evaluation tool in place. So do yourself a favor, if you haven't, is to take a time out, maybe take an hour, 2 hours out of your day, maybe at night when everybody's sleeping, and just write down kind of the things you wanted to achieve for 2019, things that you didn't achieve, maybe the weight that you said you were going to take off, the goals you were set for 2019, and write it down. It's hard, especially if you didn't do anything or you failed, like a lot of people do. Just so you know, you're not by yourself. There are so many people do fail, unfortunately, and I've seen it time and time again. Even people that I've worked with on a short period of time that end up failing because they think it's a quick fix. They're able to do that, and that's why I no longer offer my coaching that way. So go ahead, do yourself a favor, give yourself a health audit. Let me know if you need help with that, and if you're struggling maybe to look at what 2020 is and to try to get off of maybe getting those failing grades, or maybe you're kind of subpar and you're ready to take it up to a B, or maybe an A, you want to get it in the 90, or give yourself a 9 out of 10. We can do it. Sometimes it requires a little help, and it's okay if you require help. A lot of people do. I need help. I have accountability set up, and I have a plan, and I have structure in place, and that's how I'm able to succeed with my health. And it's okay if you need that too, but if you don't have anybody to help you, reach out to me, and I'd love to be that person. That's it for me. Take care, and God bless.